It's fantasy football draft season, and we got to look at deep league stashes. We got to look at those guys on the back end of depth charts just in case the worst happens. So in like week 3, 4, 5, 6, if it does happen, you know about this guy. You can pick him up. You can do whatever. You got the strategy. Or if you're in a deep league, a dynasty league, or whatever it is, you can try and get this guy right now or try and make that trade or whatever you need to do. But today we're going to be looking at Jordan Whittington, wide receiver of the Rams. And he's been a hot piece from the preseason and training camp. We've been hearing a lot of good things from training camp. And then we've been hearing and seeing what he's been doing in the preseason games. But today we're going to do a deep dive on him to see whether or not you will need him in the future for fantasy football. But before we dig in, you need to click that subscribe button right now because we're doing deep dives on players every single day, multiple players a day. We're doing player lists so you can see a bunch of different players. And in season, we help you with the waiver wire every day with these videos. We help you set your lineup with these videos and everything else. Click that button, stop missing out. But he's looking good. He earned a roster spot, the 6th round pick. And he has been solid all through training camp. There's been clips here and there that came out of him making plays. Stetson Bennett throwing him the ball downfield, looking good. And now we're on the 53. You're telling me there's a chance for the preseason dandy. And he had 126 yards on 11 catches, targeted 17 times, all those from Stetson Bennett. But still was getting it done, averages 2.68 yards per out run, and an average depth of target of 7.5. And he was moved around all over the place. Sometimes he was in the slot. Sometimes he was lined up out wide in the slot just 22.9% of the time. So he's showing some versatility. And we're going to look at what Sean McVay has to say about him because it is very important.
Yeah, he's just a mature rookie. He's so conscientious. Eric Yarber always does such a great job, in addition to Nate Shieldhouse and Rob Calabrese. But he is really, like I said, you don't see guys on game day until you get to game day. And just the look in his eyes, he's a grown man. And he played like a grown man with the ball in his hands. Did a great job without it. I just really like him. He's going to be a factor for us. And I thought today was a good start for him. And he's the type of guy that's only going to continue to grow from that.
There's a lot of big things to take from that press conference from a few weeks ago from Sean McVay. He really likes him, which means he's going to get opportunities somewhere down the line. On top of that, the words from his mouth sounds like he believes he's dependable. And what we've been saying about Sean McVay and the running backs and Kyren Williams is he loves the fact that Kyren Williams is dependable and is willing to give him way too many touches than what he needs. And a player like that, that's dependable, that earns a role, Sean McVay's going to love. And the fact is Jordan Whittington has proven to be dependable. This is an old school like regime where if you're dependable, you're kind of proven in the system, they're just going to run you to death. So Jordan Whittington, in that aspect, when you're looking at the Rams, you need to pay attention to him throughout the season, especially if something happens to the starting wide receivers. But he was a big-time prospect coming out of high school. We looked at some of these wide receivers coming out. He was a top-tier athlete coming out of high school, a 4-star in the rankings, 5-star in the composite, 30 offers, which is a good amount of offers. Alabama was after him, landed with Texas, and we were injured a good portion of our career, but we were able to stick things out in 2022 and 2023, which was a big part of his career. But the one thing you'll notice about his game, his ability to pass block, he runs good routes, very gritty at the catch point, not the flashiest player on the field, not the most dynamic route runner, but he just gets the job done. And he was under the knife multiple times to repair soft tissue injuries, multiple injuries throughout his career, really set him back. But he was a top-tier prospect coming out of high school, looked good in moments, but he really could not put it together throughout his collegiate career. Injuries have been the major story about him, but we get drafted in the 6th round still. After all that, barely any production out of college, the Rams looked at him and said, we're going to burn a 6th round pick on you. There's something that they saw, and that materialized in training camp and then in preseason. And now you look at the depth chart. Cooper Kupp, Puka Nacua, Demarcus Robinson, Tutu Atwell. Those two wide receivers, Demarcus Robinson, Tutu Atwell, incumbents, but also not world beaters. On top of that, Cooper Kupp, Puka Nacua recently had injury histories, so there's a chance Jordan Whittington might get an opportunity later on down the road. But you look at this offense right here, it's ran through Puka, it's ran through Cooper Kupp whenever they're healthy and on the field. And I say healthy and on the field because Puka Nacua is coming back from a knee injury. We went over that clip here on the channel, but he is likely playing in week 1. But Cooper Kupp's vast injury history over these last few years is something to take note. These guys have been popping up on the injury report. Something to pay attention to. It's not for certain, but it is another wild card here in this game. But the market's taking notice of Jordan Whittington, and they're starting to pull up on him in the drafts. Not just in the last round, but the 17th round, ahead of some rookies, ahead of some guys also getting some buzz. Jordan Whittington is rising, and people are taking notice on him. So if you're in a basic home league draft, you're more than likely not drafting him. You may not even have enough rounds to get this deep. On top of this, this is for best ball, so people are taking random gambles in the back end of their drafts just in case a guy like this hits on the back 9 of the season. On top of that, you need to know that because that's a player that has potential to hit on the back 9 of the season because the market's saying so right here. So you need to take notice. If you're in a deeper league, if you got like 20 rounds, you may want to look at Jordan Whittington. If you're in Dynasty, if he's on waivers, or if he's on a taxi squad, you may want to make a move because he's very, 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 very cheap right now, but he's not super liquid because there's a lot of buzz on Jordan Whittington throughout training camp, throughout the preseason. So this is something to monitor. You got to sound the alarm, but you don't need him because you don't want this lottery ticket. You don't really need this lottery ticket. It's kind of too deep for basic redraft. Deeper leagues, you should be somewhat interested. Just depends on how deep your league is. And on top of that, Dynasty, you may want to try and see if you can make the cheap move. Or if the hype gets too unreal, you may want to unload them. But you need to sound the alarm right now and pay attention to them. Need them in deep leagues, maybe. Really depends on the format and what's going on. But really, you just need to pay attention to this offense. You need to pay attention to Cooper Kupp. You need to pay attention to Puka Nacua. You need to pay attention to if they're on the field, injured or whatever. What's going on with Tutu Atwell, Demarcus Robinson in season? Are they healthy and on the field? Is this guy getting snaps? Is this guy running routes? Is it week 6, 7, 8? Not just the first week of the season, but maybe around Halloween time, he starts seeing the field, start running some routes, and next thing you know, we're talking about him as a waiver wire get. You need to know this guy. He's popping off now, and we got to talk about him now. You don't need him right now, but you might need him later. Let me know what you think in the comments below. Make sure to hit that subscribe button on the way out. Thank you for watching. Catch you on the next video.